So, guys, me and Garbu tried to record a video there, but it was kind of bad. Not gonna lie.
The penis.
Well, the thing is, right? So it was pretty bad, and I was like, you know what? I haven't told this story before on there because I'd probably get in trouble, and I'd probably end up getting. You know what? Maybe this is like well, maybe I might tell that story another time. I was trying to tell the story, but it was one of those ones. I'll get into too much issue with it. It's a funny story, but honestly, the thread was kind of bad, and we ended up just. Don't go! You can't say that. Anyway, look. Also, here, Garbu has been working on his Kickstarter, which is terrifying him, which is kind of funny. It's been incredibly successful. I would say across the board, way better than what you expected. Honestly, it looks like you might hit. What are you sitting on?
By the way, I already had an email asking me if I was going to be equitable and charitable with this fucking PDF. I said, "Fuck off!" in the fucking email. So,
why? What does it want?
So there might be some backlash from people who don't actually have any money or jobs, which I'm not going to worry about. They're like, "You're going to make sure your RPG is equitable, right?" Like, fuck off.
Well, your PDF has been out there for a long. You know what I mean? Like,
but now it's successful. I'm like, nope, I'm making a game purely for the alt-right pipeline, and you can't stop me.
Yeah. Anyway, like, so we're going to do, check that out, actually, sorry, links down below. So what else can we do with Garbu? We're going to be talking about Child Soldiers RPG settings.
Yeah,
because, what?
Well, thing is, I've done this in games. I've done Child Soldiers in games.
How have you made it work?
Well, what happened was the players, this is back in D&D 5e, the early years of 5e, and I was coming out of the fucking edgy moment of the earlier editions, and players got to this village, right? Like, all right, it's just you four guys, and a lot of the parents have been killed already by ambushes. I'm like, all right, well, who can help us fight? Like, all the kids can. No, like, we can't. I was like, well, and I outlined, this is the force coming at you, and you guys cannot run this. And if you guys leave this village, this force will slaughter every fucking child in this village. Or, sorry, you couldn't bleep that out, I guess.
I'll bleep this word to word.
And so they're like, damn, all right. So they start training all these kids, and these kids are like from age 6 to 15. And a lot of the boys had already been, a lot of the older boys are been like press ganged into the militia and got slaughtered by these orcs and goblins. So it's mostly like teenage girls, the younger teenage boys, and all the kids. And they had to train these kids. It was like a weird like cringe training montage of them trying. Here's how a spear works. I can't lift this fucking thing. That kind of shit.
Well, you see, that's one of the things I kind of think about. Like, like child soldiers weren't really effective.
They're getting frustrated. Like, well, these guys have a strength of like 1. They can't lift this pole. I'm like, cause I was actually putting stress on them. Like, all right, it's 4 days till orcs arrive. What are you doing? And like, I love making players actually frustrated, because I can see they're trying to figure it out. And what they ended up doing was, they chose the most. They chose the most sickly children to use as living bombs. Because they're just like, oh my god, like, okay, we can save most of the kids. And I forget what the spellcaster's name was, but he's like, all right, I have an idea. Like, all right, what do you do? Well, we have a lot of crippled kids, right? Yeah, and they can't stand up. Or, what if you make them... I remember his face, he goes, what if we made them bombs? And like, the table got so quiet. They're like, huh? I was like, there's a way we can make these children into... bombs. And like, you see his face is like, oh, I'm saying this out loud, oh my god. and actually ended up working out really well. They had these crippled kids set out, and the kids, you could actually hold pikes that were blocking the entryways to the village, and they sent these kids out with offerings. Of course, the orcs are like, rawr, and they try, being orcs. And as they fucking slashed these kids, they exploded. And underneath the kids, and underneath these poor crippled kids' shirts and jerkins were like pieces of metal and shrapnel and shit. So when the kids exploded, it was like a big bone and meat shrapnel bomb. I was laughing maniacally the entire time.
Did you tell the kids they were going to be turned into living bombs?
No. So the sorcerer player is like, you know what? I'm going to give you the special talisman, and I'm going to put it inside you. That way, when they try and cut you, it'll bounce right off. He was actually implanting bombs in these kids.
Oh, for God's sake! I mean, that's the problem. You're going to be called a hyper edge word if you do any of this type of stuff. So that's a problem. Which I think that's the biggest problem when it comes to like child soldiers in any form of setting. It's very hard to do. Are the
edgy edge lord? But the thing is, there are times when push come to shove, your only option may be, like, think of it in a realistic way. If you're in a village that's already been decimated, and all the men folk are killed, all the adult women are killed, and it's just these fucking kids, you're like, fuck me, you know, because either you try and make these kids defend themselves, try and take them with you, or you leave them behind and they all get slaughtered. It's a wonderful catch-22 to give players. All right,
well,
do you like
kids?
Can you
not get them to move though? Can you not convince them to like run for the hills? Or
I left them the option, but they have to move these kids as fast as possible, which would cause them to die of exhaustion. It's one of those things where I laid it out realistically, and they were in a big like mountain village, so I was like, some of them. I was like, half should make it, you know, and they're like, oh my god, you know. So they actually, well, as it all fell out, they were able to save the village, and the king rewarded them handsomely for what they did. And you know, like how there's like cover-ups, like with the government's like, oh yeah, that's never happened. The king was like doing a huge cover-up on like how they defended the village, and all the kids were like sworn to secrecy and all that. It was a whole like thing that led into other campaigns, like trying to chase down, you know, the guy who like basically what happened was the village was really well defended, but you know, like paper armies were like, oh yeah, we got 50 troops in this village. Well, it wasn't actually 50, the guy was just pocketing the money. So filled with revenge, the players hunted down this fuck who like was not properly putting troops in the village. So I used it as an actual narrative device.
Oh, there you go, then. See, that's the thing. Like, you know, it feels like it's hard to do it without. It feels like you need to justify it. So
being
the only time ever.
GM.
Yeah, that's the problem I've got. Like, so I was very close to making the African warlord subclass, but Megan said, no, James.
The Comey class.
That's complete. Yeah, James, that's like incredibly tasteless. It's like, no, but I could like summon like 1d4 child soldiers per day. It would be really cool. And then like at like level 20, summon like a Hind D gunship and be balling.
You know it's bad when Megan says, James, that's tasteless.
James, that's yeah. So that's probably never going to see the light of day. But look, let's jump into this thread. Let's see what it's all about, and see if anyone else has managed to do it in, I would say, a
tasteful way.
Just find out.
Anyway, so child soldiers in RPG settings. This is going to be a really weird question. I'm not really sure I'm phrasing it correctly, but I was just wondering if it's possible to have TTRPG campaigns that's morally ambiguous where the players occasionally encounters child soldiers, or have multiple factions use child soldiers in their armies, or would such a scenario be deemed edgy by the people playing it? Of course, the one below says you always run the risk of being someone calling it edgy. It is a risk.
Yeah, it is a big risk. So I think a good one would be maybe think of like 1700s sailors, 1600s, like, you know, they would have
ship's boys.
Yeah, like drummer boys and stuff, and they could be as young as 6.
Yep.
You know, you can still, and again, that's part of the officer training. You know, they would be put into it very, very young. So, like, you know, you still have goals for them, maybe, but they're not like. And again, like if it's a generic fantasy setting, children just don't have the strength to be able to really use the equipment. You know, and I suppose Garby, you can really attest to this. Like, you know, even not until like, you know, modern rifles come about.
Yeah.
Kids just can't really use bolt actions.
Well, this is why the firearm is the best force multiplier ever made, because a child can have an AR and slot someone through, give them a pike, like, how the fuck do I lift this fucking thing? You know, there is... but the thing is, though, they say it here, hey, like, remember a scene in Lord of the Rings that get those fucking kids, like, chainmail and shit?
Oh, yeah.
You know they all fucking died, because they can't swing a goddamn sword. Are you shitting me?
Yeah, that was, what else can you do, I suppose? You see, that's one of the ones, actually, you know what? That's actually a good topic to come off from. I've been reading a lot about the end of World War II recently, and this is one of the topics that I find.
The Union Volkssturm, the Youth Volk Storm, or they also used a lot of the the Youth, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but what I've been reading about mostly is, so it's all about mindset and culture. So, like, the thing is, like, you know, the Germans, they were putting kids in, like, you know, the idea of using women was just, no, not doing that. They find it really, and they said, as well, there's a lot of accounts from German soldiers saying that there was a little psychological effect as well. Whenever they came into, like, Russian female soldiers, there was something really off-putting about it, and they didn't like it one bit. And again, the same thing with Russians as well, whenever they came across, essentially kids. It was, again, that psychological aspect that isn't really touched upon really very much.
There's
but
also the issue of desperation, because I have no doubt in my mind that if the U.S. was being, like say everything's reversed, the U.S. was under attack in World War II, for a fact we'd be shoving kids with supper rifles on trees and shit. Because
you definitely would.
It's literally,
when push come to shove, you probably would.
Yeah, like
if they were up for it, they would.
Yeah,
they just would.
Well, that I have no doubt that if certain kids I must protect my home. There is, of course, a psychological aspect. I must protect my home. So
what is what was the whole thing?
Like, for instance, say daddy's gone to war, daddy died, and mommy's home alone, and this young boy's like, I gotta protect my fucking family. There's a lot of mental aspects that can be tapped onto for RPG campaigns. You just have to do it correctly. You have to tap into it logically.
One of the biggest things is, I think a lot of people we have a hard time putting ourselves into these people's worlds. You know what I mean? And Judge a Man, Malin and Moccasins, all that stuff. It's very hard for us to think of the pressures on these people and what has to be done. What's true though? What other options do these people have?
It's fight or die. Think you're like a border village or a border town, and you're under constant raid, and one day the raiders get a few clans get together of whatever evil bad boy you want to put in there, and now you're like, oh fuck, okay, we'll call for aid. Well, aid is 4 days away. Well, this bad group is only a day away. You're like, fuck. And
what age do you grow up? We would say a 12-year-old is a child, but back then, you'll do the job. You know what I mean? You'll make excellent cannon fodder. You know what I mean? I suppose that's also a big problem with these days. People are essentially still children whenever they hit 30. You know what I mean? They've still got a teenage mindset almost.
Well, it's because they're all fucking coddled, for God's sakes. I mean, you look at a bog standard Californian and a bog western Midwesterner, they're gonna be completely fucking different at age 20.
Yeah, it's a weird one to debate. It's not ideal, but again, that's what I'm. That's what I'm
not ideal. That's a word to use for it. It's not ideal.
Yeah, you know what? This is one thing you know what? This video is not going to be anything to forget. This is a podcast. One of the things that I've been reading quite a bit, and one of the big ones for me I've been reading a lot about is child psychology. One thing that I really love it's not that I love it. It's actually I really wouldn't recommend anyone to read child psychology. It's probably some of the most depressing stuff you'll ever read in your entire life. I'm just putting that out there. It's really not a fun subject, and the more you read about it, the more you're like, oh sweet, what is actually, oh my god. But this is one thing that really gets me. You need to think of what lives did people live back then? How did they get along? How were they the things they did? It's a much rougher time period. You say you watch. I've said before. I can't remember what video it was. But say you're watching a serial killer documentary. Let's say you're watching Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, he was quite big not that long ago. And you're watching a documentary about him, and you see his whole childhood and all that sort of stuff, and you're looking at it. It's like, well, honestly, is there any wonder he turned out so fucked up? Is there any wonder why he became what he became? Did he even have a chance in life because of how bad he had, how bad his childhood was? It's almost like you almost expect it.
Well, I believe Dahmer had
by doing that.
Issues with, medical issues when he got put under for surgery, and it messed his fucking brain.
Yeah.
Now, there are some where, not Jeffrey Dahmer, but a lot of kids who are like, you're going to kill somebody because their life is so fucked. Yeah. They're repairing it. Other guys, it's just something happens. They hit their head. Oh, my head. Why would I kill people? And that is a thing. That does happen.
Yeah, it definitely is. It does. See, brain chemistry, once you mess with it, you cannot. I don't think any doctor actually knows anything about brain chemistry, if I be honest with you. I honestly do not believe it for a minute anyone knows anything about it, because the more I read about it, the more everyone contradicts everyone, and it's like, oh my god, the world is a lie, what's going on? It's actually kind of terrifying when you think about it. But anyway, so what happens if you live back, let's say, your town gets raided. How traumatic of an event would that be in this day and age? Imagine, giga terrorist attacks happen in your town or village every every season, every springtime, every summertime.
Literally an Arab Spring.
New attacks. Yeah, exactly. Imagine that all the time. What is that going to do, not just to an individual, but what is that going to do to an entire society of human beings?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And does that create an entire culture of broken human beings with weird mental issues.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I guess it depends on how they react to the raids. There are those who will simply submit and get fucking buck broken by the raiders, or folks who will fight. I mean, when you think about it, it's true. There are guys who will never go, all right, just take my butthole, and then there's others going to go, you know what, I'm going to fight every time. Fuck you, I'm going to fight every time. It's kind of like the that first Mad Max movie where, you know, like that little oil town, you know, they're always being raided, but they always fought back.
Well, that's very true. You see that in the Middle East. That happens all the time. A lot of people say the Neo-Assyrians blew the Middle East for empire, just because they were so brutal and they massacred people for a very long time, and it happened time and time again. And ever since then, there's been empires in that region. It's almost like the entire Lucan by it. They blew their spirit almost. So, like, you know, you got the Neo-Assyrians, you got the I can't remember the ones. Babylonians, and the Babylonians. Yeah, no, they existing time. And then you got the Persians, and then you get Alexander the Great, and Romans. It just keeps going, like, you know, Eastern Roman Empire, Ottomans, all that type of stuff. That entire area is just ripe for empire, and there's been something about it. It's only very recently that, you know, a lot of these countries aren't controlled by empires anymore, and look at how unstable the Middle East is today. For fuck's sake, still. You know, I don't think we need to talk about the Middle East. But again, like, you know, I suppose that's also a big problem. Like, you know, we try to into just like democracy, like, you know, the whole, like, I don't know, see, world building, I think is one of the biggest problems the West has. Other cultures do not understand how we think. They see the idea of, say you have a child and put that child out whenever they're 18, it's like, yeah, you go out and sort your life out. They see that as incredibly cruel, incredibly, they don't like that. They see that as very inhuman. Almost,
there's two mentalities. There's the elephant herd mentality where everyone stays together and helps raise each other. Then there's the bird mentality. Get the fuck out of my nest. You know?
There's got to be a good safe medium. This is one thing I find really good as well. Whenever I came across it, they were talking about breaking up tribes, you know, and that's the... Well, actually, no, you never mind. Look, let's get back onto the topic of... Because this is more of a podcast today, guys. I'm sorry. Back onto the topic of child soldiers.
So, I don't know if you know this, but we've got a website with lots of models. And whenever I say lots of models, I mean lots of models. We've got models for any setting that you can think of. With humans with biddies, animals that shouldn't have biddies but do have biddies, dwarves and elves with biddies. Look, we've got a lot of smut models. But it doesn't stop there. We really do have models for anything and everything. And to be honest, they look so good. Chef's kiss, so good. But it's not all smut for all you good Christian Minecraft server players. We've got you covered. And we even got the weebs covered too, which is unusual for this channel because we don't like weebs.
The weebs aren't that bad, okay? They're just fun to laugh at.
We also have 5th edition subclasses and adventures, which some of them are free for download, and we sell a physical printed copy of Steel Water as well, and you can request a signed version if that's your thing, where I'll draw a penis on it for you.
If you want us to sign a couple decks, we'll give you decks, okay, guys? That's what
anyway,
you want.
If you enjoy what we do here, go ahead and check out the website. It helps us out so much, and we don't need to worry about our YouTube overlord striking down another one of our channels. Our website is also now available as an app on Android. Also, and the winner of the daily giveaway is this guy! Yay! Woo!
Look, anyway, in for a chance to win, all you gotta do is like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, automatically entered in.
And to claim the prize, you just send an email to neckbeardiacontact@gmail.com. Let's get back to the video.
So as one down just below there, I see most of it. But I was wondering if it's possible to have a TTRPG campaign that's okay, so anyway. So why would that not be possible exactly? Just take the average newbie mercenary and adjust their stats downwards to reflect their age, which is what you normally do.
Yeah,
and then would be deemed edgy. Well, that depends entirely on your table and how you present it. I don't think that most people would consider adolescent orcs leaping to the defense of their stead and dying alongside their parents particularly risque. But if you have an evil empire that steals children from the peasantry, tortures them into this is basically the First Order. Tortures them. Tortures them into psychopathy and then uses them as cannon fodder against their more civilized enemies for the psychological impact, then that's going full Shadow of the Hedgehog. Okay, but
yeah, kind of.
But at the same time, I wouldn't really call that evil because that's something they could easily do. If you want extremely loyal, fervent soldiers, you steal them as babies, and you raise them as basically religious sycophants. That is something that happens even in real life today.
Yeah, it does. I don't know how much we can talk about that.
Yeah, we probably can't.
Yeah, it's probably not worth getting into that whole problem, you know what I mean? Well, a good example could maybe be like French Guard. You could bring them up there, be an excellent. But most of the, like, they're more mercenaries than anything. I know some are kind of like born into it, but like, I would argue they're more on the mercenary end of the spectrum.
Yeah,
I don't know. See, the thing is, like, I think the core problem of this whole idea is what constitutes children in fantasy to old world. Like, to me, I would say you would be considered a man whenever you're like 13, 14 maybe.
Well, I believe, but in
whatever.
terms of fantasy medieval aspect, I believe I'm sure you're gonna be like, actually, guard bro, I believe it's around 13 or 14 where you're considered like a quote unquote man, or you transition from, because it changes by years every 100 years. But it's like as soon as you were able to you're starting to get like a patchy beard or mustache growing in, you're like someone's got the mans.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, see, for me, so for me personally, I think I consider myself. I don't think I really became a proper adult for me personally until I was about maybe 22 or so.
Really?
Me and Megan. Yeah, because the thing is, I was in community college for a very long time. I did 5 year college, so I did. So I only started working full time whenever I was like 22. And even then, I didn't. Me and Megan got that. Like, I was getting money, but honestly, I was just like, we were just going out drinking, buying Warhammer models, all that type. You know what I mean? The type of stuff that you do when you don't have a house or anything, when you don't need to worry about it. Like, see, if you don't have to worry about stuff, it's very different. And I can even say the same thing again. The transition for me personally from moving out and getting a house together and then becoming self-employed doing YouTube, that was another big stress, I would say. That's definitely, it's one thing going into your shitty minimum wage job and you don't really need to worry that much. You think about it.
Get those crumbs.
You show up and yeah, exactly. That's all you do. You don't really need to give a fuck about the job at all. You just kind of show up and do the job to whatever standard that they require, and
it's kind of funny you say that, because when I was 17, I was working full time and married by 18. Like, I was living by myself with my wife at 18 years old.
Oh god! Well, there you go. Well, as long as it worked out for you, you know what I mean. Still married, so that's it was
a close one. But we're still married, yeah.
It worked out, but you get what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And again, I don't think it didn't work out again. I think again another big leap for me is again having children. You know what I mean? So I would say there's been 3 points for me turning from child that I work, I'm over 18, but essentially all I do is spend my money on alcohol, go out for dinner, and 40k models. You know what I mean?
All I do is buy 40k and buy curry.
Yeah, it's not like an adult, are you? Are you an adult whenever you live your life like that? I think most people would agree. It's there's kind of
if you look at me, you're we got hard a lot. Your life is so hard, bro. I'm working steel and shit.
No, but you get what I'm trying to say. It does take. I think it does take time for people to. People do become children for a lot longer these days, and I know a few. There's a good few of my mates that honestly, I look at them. Someone's like, you're
you fucking
mom.
peasant.
I don't know if you're. Well, yeah, the thing is, it's I don't know. They get on well with the parents and all, and I'm not saying say if you get on well with your parents, I don't think
my mommy bought me socks.
I don't think you need to move out though. If especially the cost of living these days, and if you get on really well, I don't know. For me personally, me and Megan have moved back in with her mum.
Well,
you know
not
what I mean?
For because you can't afford it reasons. It's more of a
it's not. It's because she needs to look after. You know what I mean? But
saying there are aspects to it, I suppose. If your housing situation is fucking sucks, let's say you're in California or New York, or a big city, it's Dad, I can't afford even an apartment. You're you know what? You're right. But at that point, you go, we're gonna give you an outside place that's not in the house. You have your own little apartment. That'd make more sense. If your mommy's still making you fucking pancakes, no, stop it.
Yeah.
Mom, chocolate chips.
Weird one.
Mom, chocolate chips.
So if you're like mom chocolate chips, you cannot be a child soldier. Then how does that sound? You know,
you're a mental child soldier.
Is that the criteria? Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I suppose it's all mentality. I suppose.
Well, no. You say that, but there was a special regiment in time where the U.S. was hiring mentally retarded folks in Vietnam, and they died a hell of a lot. So I don't know.
Wait, tell me about this one.
Okay. Hold on. There's an actual name for it. Retarded Vietnam.
Does this call?
So it was a huge initiative. Project 100,000. That's what it was. So in Project, that's right. It was McNamara's morons. So McNamara was like, you know what? We need to have more troopers. There's an untapped well of infantry we can grab. What's that, McNamara? Idiots. Like, huh? So
I like Robert McNamara.
So these dudes at times couldn't even sign their own name. They did a thumbprint. Like, all right, you're an infantry. These guys died at like an absurd rate. Like, it was like literally they were a danger to people because they would just fucking stomp on mines and shit and just kill. Yeah. So.
Oh my god. So I honestly think children wouldn't be. Well, you know what? I don't know. Have you ever met some kids? Some kids would jump on mines. If I be honest with you, yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Go ahead and scroll down here. We'll keep going through this thread. See those crops.
Yeah. Well, no, we're at 20. You know what? We're at 25 minutes.
I said keep
scrolling.
What? We'll hold on.
All right. Okay.
Go
which one do you see? What do you want to go
for?
for?
There.
Which one?
Have I used child soldiers in my games? The answer is honestly, I don't know. Sometimes a party fights large bands of men. Given the rough period being represented, it's almost certain that some of them are too young for this, forced into it, or throwing themselves into it with an enthusiasm their culture sees no reason to call into question. If he proudly dies a man's death, then he was a man in every way that matters to everyone involved. This is just a fact of life, and it goes unremarked. That's an interesting cultural standpoint.
Yeah.
Because let's go back to everyone's favorite like historical punching bags, Vikings. If a 15-year-old boy's like, I want to go on a Viking, and they're like, aight, cool. And once that kid leaves on a boat, he's now a man. He's going to go raid and make money. He's not a boat anymore. He's wearing leather and chainmail armor. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go do a Viking. Like, all right, cool. And if he survives, say this 14-year-old kid leaves home on a longship, does battle, kills some monks, steals their fucking Rolexes, and comes home. He's now a man because he's killing, he's providing, he's raising. He may be 2 years shy of a natural manhood, but he's doing man shit. And I know there are also some cultures where. And I know, I forget what the name of it was, but there's there's quite a few of them I'm thinking about. There are cultures where when you kill your first man, now you are a man. Like, once you kill your first enemy, you're like, okay, you're a man now. Fucking high five, bud. Like, oh yeah. Psst. There was one where, I think it was an African tribe, where when you kill it was a long time ago, but when you killed your first enemy tribesman, you're proclaimed a man and given a wife. Like, that's how important it was to kill someone else.
I think that sounds like zoos, honestly. It
might be, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, might have been, but then again, I suppose it's cheating because everyone knows Zulus, I suppose. So,
Zulu!
I watched that the other day, actually. It was a great movie. Yeah, it holds up really well, so it does. But, you know what, that's what I think I'm gonna, I feel like I'm giving the Tim Pill answer. It's like, I don't know, man, it's complicated.
You fucking fence sitter.
You know,
the
that's
Tim Pill answer.
I can honestly yes, it's a Tim Pill answer. It's like, I don't know, man, it's kind of complicated, it's got a lot going on, you know, but honestly, it kind of does, and it just depends on the set.
My milk toast panties are so soaked right now. I just don't know. I don't know.
I mean, what would you say, Garp? I think it depends on the set. It depends on what they're doing. It depends on the world that they live in. It depends on have they grown up? Have they grown up fast? Have they are they a pampered prince? Are they have you got a Joffrey type character, or do you have you know what I mean?
I would say for sure, if you are either a writer, if anything, or a DM or a GM or a CC or whatever the hell you're going to be, and you're playing a game where you're going to introduce a younger combatant threatened, you best have a good fucking reason why they're there. Desperation, defending family, they need money, they're poor, cultural, the man's just bored, wants to kill somebody. There are tons of reasons why a young adolescent, male or female, may go into combat and try shaking a motherfucker. There's all kinds of reasons why. And when you go backwards in time, more and more reasons appear. Like in modern times, it'd be like, you know, oh, we're being invaded and daddy's dead and I don't want mommy to get hurt, or I've been abused my entire life, now it's my fucking turn. You get to adapt your setting and your reasons to the time frame you're in. So I would say it's actually far more difficult to make that work in modern time eras than past time. Like Bronze Age be easy as shit.
Definitely.
I fucking hate the Romans. Yeah. That's literally all you need.
Yeah, you could definitely make that work easily.
Fucking Persians, read.
The real thing is, just don't make it's the edge factor. That's all you gotta do. You know what? Honestly, you know what? Actually, I was about to say, where does it like Africa? That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant at all. Yeah, but you get what I'm trying to say. You know who did it really well, and it was kind of edgy, but they did do a good job in Metal Gear Solid 5. So they did. I thought that was quite well put together.
You can kill a child, mission successful.
Well, it worked. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. And I think, honestly, just as long as you try not to go the edge right, you'll be just fine. It depends on the type of group you're in. And honestly, you see, this is the problem. We're at a point with playing games where, we have such things as X cards, we have such thing as
the fuck we do
checklists. Well, in a lot of
X card can suck my balls.
Yeah, they can. But the thing is, they exist in a lot of game stores, and the idea of being able to explore these tough to talk about subjects with a lot of people just again here this comes right back. This comes right back full circle. There's a lot of adult infantile people that cannot talk about certain subjects because they find it uncomfortable, or they find it
have you tried not being a goddamn pussy?
Well, that's the exact thing. People haven't, they're not able to, and therefore because they cannot have any issue in their life, they cannot.
Well, there are folks in this world who will not survive a week in Peasantville. Like they would die of where's the Starbucks at? What the fuck's a militia? I'm levied for what? Taxes? They would never understand.
That's one thing. I think we'll wrap up here. We're coming up to half an hour. One thing that I've been thinking about quite a bit. I've been thinking about it for a while. I love to imagine. So if I was born exactly 100 years to the day, I would have been perfect age. I would have been 21 whenever World War I started. I would have been perfect. Well, I wouldn't been. No, I would have been 20. But by the time I would have got, by the time you got in, you would have been 21. So that's perfect age for a soldier. You can't get any better than that. Let's be serious. I like to imagine, could I do?
Could you hack it?
Honest to God, Could I even do a week? See if I could do honest to God. See for me personally, if I could do a 24 hours. I think I'd be well chuffed myself, and I think anyone that thinks, I could totally do it. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think you really need to think about it.
That's what I call retrospective challenges. Could I hack it? Because guys who are there and in that shit, they have to. They know I have to deal with this.
They had to. They didn't have a choice. But they had to deal with it.
Like Vietnam or World War II, people all right, could we do it? Because you wonder yourself, because it's not as imperative for us. It's not like, if the Germans cross the fucking ocean, Mama and Papa back in fucking, I don't know, fucking Umberstead, England or some shit, go get fucking, put in a camp. There's not as much imperative for us. Say we're transported back to, when the Romans first invade Gaul, it's all right, could we do this? Because the Gauls, they have to. The Gauls have to do it, because that's their home. But we're hey.
The thing is, it's look at all the people that you see online, especially on Twitter. See all them people that are see if the Nazis were alive. See if I was alive back when the Nazis were a thing, I would totally have Jews in my attic. And then what do you know? The time came, and they were the exact people that were like, come here, the attic next door. You know what I mean?
Hey
like,
there, Mr. Feinstein. We know you're pure German, but we know there's guys in your basement. If you don't tell us, we're gonna hang you in the street. Yeah, they're fucking downstairs. You know, it's one of those things.
Yeah,
it's very brave of like, okay, we'll do a slight tangent here, a slight tangent. It's very brave to say,
yeah,
the look death in the face and go, I ain't use in my closet. I got none. That's honestly far more ballsy than any of these Twitter folks ever be. When you stare the SS skull in the face and go, nah, brother, no one here. Because I guarantee if these fucking Twitter anti-fascista were like sitting there in the doorway and the fucking two SS and walk up with a whole like a fucking little contingent of fucking Sturmgewehr or fucking Panzergrenadier.
Yeah.
We know there are 4 Jews in your basement, and if you do not tell us where they are, we will kill you and your family. We'll hang you right from that street pole right there. And they'd be like, yeah, they're there, I'm sorry. And they would fold immediately.
It's so easy. Yeah, it's so easy. That's what gets me. Like, you see this I see this all the time with people being like, oh, I would totally be able to do it. It's like, I don't know. You really have to think about that. And as I say, I don't know. I've never thought about that question personally.
They think the head can, sure, but you have to ask yourself, can you lie to death as it's looking at you?
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? Actually, there is a different question that I've been thinking to myself, and again, it comes right back to what if your home invaded? And for me, I would always think it's like, see if Northern Ireland invaded, yes, most definitely. But after having Aussie, it's like, honestly, no, my main concern's my child. I couldn't care less about Brexit.
That's one of those.
No, my child's
that's an American question that every American asks. Like, what would I do? And I think most of the Midwest are all on the same page of like, it would be immediately go to war, almost immediately, because once war's in your backyard, your family ain't safe till you push that shit out.
Yeah.
But even then, bring it back around to that case. Say your home's being invaded, and like I said before, daddy's dead, mommy's home alone. The enemy army is only a mile away. At what age would a non-adult go, I gotta grab daddy's spear? You gotta at least try. Because say like you can't run, say mommy's sick, mommy's got mild plague or some shit, and she just can't run, and you're like, fuck, I can't leave my mom behind because she's my mama. So at what age would a child soldier go, I gotta defend my mommy? And they would go and pick up that bow and arrow or that hunting bow or that spear, or pick up daddy's fucking short sword he left behind for the man of the house, like most movies show. Like, at what age do they go, I gotta try. I have to try. And that's what really that's what really sets classes of people apart. People who...
That's us.
The audio crashed at 37 minutes, unfortunately. We're talking about classes of people. We went on a big tiff. I didn't see the alert. Our bad.
Right, anyway, will we wrap up then? Or
we'll wrap up there.
Yeah.
I think the viewers understand what fucking hole we're digging here.
Yeah. I think we're, the problem is, if we keep going, I think we're just going to keep going in circles.
4 hours of us just fucking like talking about like Coney in Africa or some stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So,
what do you guys think? Have you guys ever done child soldiers? Have you ever done it and like had a reason to do it?
Or are you too afraid to?
Yeah, I've never done it personally. I don't. It's more just something I've never thought about. I've never thought like a reason of doing it.
All the time.
Well, I know you do. Sure, you did. What do you call her in the skeleton party? She may as well have been a child soldier.
Millie?
Yeah. The 2 kids.
Oh yeah. Anyway. Millie and her sister.
Yeah. Anyway, look, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. We should be live streaming on Saturday or Sunday. I don't really know. If you guys haven't already, check out Garboo's Kickstarter, because Garboo's terrified of it. It's kind of funny. It's doing really well.
The only game that will never bow to the liberal.
Shut up, liberal.
Silence, liberal. The crab image.
Yeah, that's exactly what you should be going for.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know this was more of a podcast than I get. It turned into.
They say they like them, but I'm never sure.
I'm not sure either. See, the thing is, we would record them, and then I'm like, was that a good video? I don't know.
Because I fucking love it, yeah. We're like, how's it making views?
Yeah, it's unusual, but like, let us know what you think, because I don't know, it's hard to say. It's really hard to judge these sort of ones, I find. And also, it's such a broad topic to talk about. It's very... How do you fit in? Like
number 15.
How do you, Burger King. Look, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.